And joining us on the line now, you love him, you know him, you can't live without him, the host of Varney and Company on the Fox Business Network, Stuart Varney. Hello, Stuart. How are you?
I thought you were going to say you love him, you hate him. Who cares?
Well,
Thank you, Brian.
Let me say that's what people are saying this morning about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That they either loved him or they hate him this morning. You had a chance, no doubt, to watch the debate. What was your thought?
Look, my first thought was that was a terrific debate. It was wonderful political theater.
I thought it was, too.
The debate itself was a winner. I think millions of people tuned in and were thoroughly entertained. It was free speech at its best, unrestricted. Away you go, and people were pulled in. I hope they're pulled back into politics. I think we've soured on politics generally, but that kind of debate, clean-cut, dynamite, expressive, entertaining, I think that brings people back into the political arena. But to answer your question about Trump, I think he peaked last night, to be honest with you. I think his mixing it up about women with Megyn Kelly was a classic mistake. I mean, I don't think he can win the presidency without the women's vote, and I think he lost the women's vote. That's what I think.
Really? So let me tell you. Now, we have people who listen to this program. They're conservatives. They listen to talk radio, and we're very happy to have them. And a lot of people here really were upset with Fox because they thought the questions toward Donald Trump were a little sharply worded.
Yep.
What do you think?
I think they were sharply worded. But what's wrong with that?
Well, that's my take. I mean, these are questions he's going to be asked at some point along the way. But, I mean, that is what we're hearing this morning, and I was sort of surprised by that.
Look, I like free and open and vigorous debate. And if the principal character, so to speak, is right center stage and his name is Donald Trump, all right, don't exactly provoke him, but chuck some red meat at him. What's wrong with that? I mean, if you really want to get the debate going, that's how you do it. That's what they did, and I think it was a success. But I think the man peaked.
Good morning, Stuart. We've talked a lot about Donald Trump, but, the economy is usually the number one voting issue. You're with the Fox Business Network. Which candidate do you think performed best on the economic issues last night?
Well, again, I have to think, and I have to say, that the economy and economic policy took a back seat last night. Mm-hmm. It was not vigorously discussed. Other issues came to the fore, personalities came to the fore, and that to me was a little disappointing, but I understand the needs and requirements of political theater, and a discussion of economic policy is very hard to get off the ground and get some enthusiasm going. I just don't think the economy was very well represented last night. That is disappointing to me because I think the economy and the return of prosperity and growth for America, I think that's the key issue, and I was a little disappointed last night.
What about Carly Fiorina in the earlier event? A lot of people like what they heard there.
Yes, I believe that she was the winner, certainly of the first debate. If you look at the social network response, she was the clear winner, and I think she did stand out from the pack. She was undoubtedly the winner of the first debate and probably moved up to the top tier by her performance last night.
Did anybody in the top tier move down? Who would it be? I mean, there's no room on the top 10 unless somebody falls off.
I don't think anybody fell off, but there are some who did not perform in a way that made them stand out. I'm thinking of Huckabee, for example. I don't think Jeb Bush stood out. I think he stayed above the fray, trying to look presidential, but then kept out of the debate to a large degree. I don't think that's exactly what he wanted. I'm not so sure about Governor Walker. Maybe he stayed a little too quiet, out of the fray, instead of mixing it up. I don't think anybody dropped out, although I would say that Rand Paul, I think he took a step down. Not out of the top tier, but certainly a step down.
Well, let's revisit the Carly question, because I think she's clearly the breakout winner of both debates, and she has such an interesting economic track record. What do you think she'll need to do in the coming days to convince voters she's the one to trust on that issue?
Oh, let's talk economy, please. Carly Fiorina, let's talk growth. Let's talk prosperity. She's in the ideal position to do that, having led a major corporation. I think she led a $90 billion corporation, and that puts her in a prime spot to explain how we're going to return to prosperity. I think she'll be very good at that.
All right, I want to change topics because we've talked a lot about the debate this morning. But, as often happens when there's a big event in the news that sucks up all the oxygen, if you need to say something that's a little uncomfortable, something you don't really want people to pay much attention to, you drop it out when there's something else going on. And that happened with one Chuck Schumer, senator from New York State. Yeah. He let it be known at about the time the debate was beginning that he is going to oppose the Iran nuclear deal. I see this as a pretty significant development.
Brian, I think it's absolutely huge. This is the man who will lead the Democrats in the Senate next year when Harry Reid retires. He's the senior Democrat. And now he comes out against the president, who leads his own party, the Democrats. And I believe the exact expression, I'm trying to say exactly what he said here. He said, there's a strong case that we are better off without an agreement than with one. That is the kiss of death for the president's Iran nuke deal as it winds its way through Congress.
It also suggests that it can be a vote of conscience for Democrats and that they're not going to heavily whip it.
Now, I'm not sure the logic of that. I'm not sure how that works out. I'm sure that in the first vote, the Iran deal will be voted down by Congress. The president will then veto that.
Yeah.
Are you saying that when it gets back to Congress, they won't have the votes to override that veto?
I think it's very close, a very close question. It's going to be one to watch, but I was very surprised by this.
But Senator Schumer makes it much, much closer as to whether or not they can override that veto.
Stuart, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Gotcha. See you later.